Go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 21st North College Hill City Council meeting. As always, we will begin our meeting with the prayer for the NC City Council. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Call this meeting to order. And I will share my screen so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. Ms. Dewald, will you please call the roll?
Miss Bailey,
Here.
Miss Underwood,
Here.
Mr. Miller Novak, Miss Zorb,
Here.
Miss Hartman. Is she here?
She is here. She's muted.
Okay.
Ms. Hartman, can you
We
unmute?
have,
Ms. Hartman? Says she's unmuted. I don't hear anything.
I don't see her in my lineup either.
She's on there.
Okay. So she's here. So we have, out of the 5 members, 1 absent.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I'd like to make a motion we excuse Mr. Miller Novak.
I have a motion for Ms. Bailey to excuse Mr. Miller Novak from tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
Second for Ms. Zorb. All right, motion for Ms. Bailey, second for Ms. Zorb to excuse Mr. Miller Novak. Discussion? Call the roll, Ms. Dewald.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman.
Yes.
Motion to excuse 4-0.
All right, thank you. You should have tonight's agenda in front of you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt tonight's agenda.
Actually, before you do that, with the new meeting format, we should have added public participation back into the agenda. I forgot.
Just kidding.
Okay.
So if you would like to make that motion.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add public participation before
Before
Call.
committee reports, right?
no.
I don't remember.
I
Sorry.
know there's one after legislation, and then is there one after call of members?
I believe it is after call of members. Hang on 1 second. It's been so long since I've been to a real meeting.
Can we just add one tonight and just pick a place?
After, Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am. Pick a spot.
after legislation, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to add remarks from the audience after legislation.
Okay.
For clarity's sake, are you saying just before old business?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second her motion.
All right, motion from Ms. Bailey to amend the agenda to add remarks from the audience before old business, with a second from Ms. Underwood. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes,
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
I don't like this.
Okay, we've amended the agenda. Need a motion to adopt it.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I will make the motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second the motion.
Motion from Ms. Bailey on the floor to adopt the agenda as amended, with a second by Ms. Underwood. Discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
please forgive me, but I don't recall Ordinance 10 coming out of committee. Which committee did that come out of? And did the committee approve for it to come out?
Come out of finance?
I think so. One second. Ordinance 10. We talked about that a long time ago, and I thought it was discussed that it would come out of committee just to bring it to a vote, so we were getting stuff done.
That is not my recollection. That's why I'm asking.
My recollection is that we were bringing it out simply because to put it to the council floor for a vote.
Do you know which committee it came out of?
Finance.
So again, for clarity, our last finance meeting, the only thing we discussed was the budget.
Yes,
So what-
ma'am. It was on a meeting from back in March, I think, March or April. And I had sent it over to the law directors for them to go through it and to make sure it was correct.
All right, motion to adopt the amended agenda by Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Underwood. Call the roll, please.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes,
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
Miss Hartman,
Ms. Hartman, you're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
You are.
Okay. Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
All right, thank you. You have the minutes from our last meeting, which took place on September 8th.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood,
I'll second her motion.
motion by Ms. Zorb to adopt the minutes as presented, with a second from Ms. Underwood. Discussion? Ms. Dewald, please call the roll.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Underwood,
Yes.
Miss Zorb,
Yes.
and Miss Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Dewald, communications?
I have no communication this week. Well, Mr. Mosby, you sent me an email. Was that supposed to be communications or, and I can't remember what the email is now, I just read it today.
No, that is just, I wanted you to have that for the record, but I will read that as part of my report.
That's right. And you're correct. Thank you. I forgot.
All right, thank
No
you, Ms. Dewald.
communication.
Okay.
Mhm.
Brings us to committee reports, budget and finance.
Mr. President, Mr. Graver, this is Bill Dieters. I'm showing up as you on the screen because I
You are. I'll fix that.
so
I didn't even notice you pull up there.
I was on the line. So
Sorry.
thank
I'll fix this. There we go.
thank you.
All right, budget and finance committee.
Awesome. So we last met September 4th at 7:30. We had 2021 budget presentations from the department heads. We are going to have to go back into our budget, of course, and go through it and make sure that we can manage it throughout the next year. Other than that, our next meeting is the second Monday of next month at 7:30.
That would be 10/12.
Yes, sir. I apologize. I have an angry 5-year-old right now.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bailey. City and Community Development and Recreation.
As the co-chair of City and Community Development and Recreation, that committee was canceled on September 4th. The next meeting tentatively is October 12th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you again, Ms. Bailey. Next up, Public Safety.
I actually reported on our August meeting at our last council meeting, and we have not met since, or in the month of September yet. Our next meeting is September 28th at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Rules and Public Policy.
So we, I believe that we have not met. I'm sorry, Mr. O'Shea is the chair of that committee and Mr. Miller Novak is the co-chair of that committee. I am a member of that committee. So since neither of them are present today, I can report that we have not met in the month of September. Our next meeting is on September 28th at 6:30.
Thank you, ma'am. That'll take us to ad hoc reports. Are there any?
Yes, Mr. President.
Ms. Underwood.
I did receive some information from the senior center. However, they have not scheduled a meeting yet because of COVID-19. As soon as they resume their meetings, I will certainly let council know.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other ad hoc reports? All right, we'll move on. Next is administrative reports. We'll begin with Madam Mayor.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. I had a couple things. The first thing is today, they actually, I know there were some invites that went out, I'm not sure how many, but the school opened up a free, like, food bank for our citizens. So if you know anyone who is in need of groceries, they can now shop at the free store food bank that the school district now has. I was there for the ribbon cutting this afternoon. I believe that you can shop Mondays and Wednesday on the second and fourth Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 6 p.m. So if you know anyone who's in need of food, they can go there to receive foods, any type of food that they need. I know they have soap powder and hygiene things there as well. There's just a quick application. There is not a real long application process. I think anyone who is in need can shop there. So you can contact Kimberly Stewart. She can get you more information. Another thing I had as we go through the city, although I think this question would be more so for maybe Ms. Zorb with the change with the servant CH. The sunflowers are beautiful, but I had a couple people ask me about the upkeep. I'm not sure who waters it. So if you can give us some insight on that, or who prunes them back or take down the ones. Some of the comments that I got, but some of them are dying. They're nice, but I've just had a couple people ask me, and I'm not sure who takes care of it. So if you can give a little feedback on that. And one of the other
Sure.
questions that I had was with the vacancy with Mr. Hedger, with him, and I'm sure Mr. Dieters, if you could help me on this one, under our section 13.06, the replacement's term of if an original candidate served less than 1 year, if we have to have a special election for his position. That was one of the concerns I had as well, because I'm not sure what needs to be done, if it needs to go on a November ballot or what needs to take place for there. But in our charter under section 13.06, it talks about that. I also had just a proclamation. We know that this year, or September, is suicide prevention. So I had a proclamation because with everything with COVID going on, we couldn't necessarily meet and do the meetings and the assemblies and the different gatherings that we wanted to do because of COVID-19. So I have a proclamation that I would like to read for National Suicide Prevention. So it says the North College Hill 2020 National Suicide Prevention and Action Month Proclamation. Whereas September is known globally as Suicide Prevention Month, the National Suicide Prevention Action Month proclamation was created to raise the visibility of the mental health sources and suicide prevention services available in our community. The goal is to speak openly about the importance of mental health and the impacts of suicide to help remove the surrounding stigmas and to direct those in need to the appropriate support services. And whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background. And according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the AFSP, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among adults and the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34 in the US. And whereas more than 47,000 people died by suicide across the United States in 2017, which according to the CDC was more than twice the number of homicides, with an average of 129 suicides completed daily, which includes active military and veterans, according to 13.5% of the suicides nationally. And whereas each and every suicide directly impacts a minimum of 100 individuals, including family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, and community members. And whereas North College Hill is no different than any other community across the country, but chooses to publicly place our full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, law enforcement officers, and parents as partners in supporting our community and simply being available to one another. And whereas global organizations like Hope for the Day, HFTD, and our local partner, National Alliance for Mental Illness, Southwest Ohio, are on the front lines of a war that many still refuse to discuss, as suicide and mental health remain too uncomfortable to talk about. And whereas every member of our community should understand that throughout life struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are fighting our own battles. And whereas North College Hill City Council encourages all residents to take the time to check in with their family, friends, neighbors, and on a regular basis, and to honestly communicate their appreciation for their existence by any gesture that deem appropriate. A simple phone call, message, handshake, or hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. Now, therefore, it is resolved that I, Tracy Nichols, as mayor of the city of North College Hill, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2020 a National Suicide Prevention and Action Month in the city of North College Hill, Ohio. In witness thereof, I hereby hereunto set my hand and cause this seal of the city of North College Hill to be affixed this 21st day of September in the year of 2020. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Forgot to unmute. Ms. Zorb, go ahead.
I'd like to respond to the sunflower question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I can tell you that I personally saved milk jugs, and I had friends save milk jugs, and I filled milk jugs. I had about 15 or 20 of them, and I would fill them, and I would drive up to the lot, and I would hand water the sunflowers. And then I would come home, and I would fill up the 15 jugs, and I would take them back up there again. And that would take hours. I did that twice. I did it one time with fertilizer in them, and I fertilized them all. And that took a long time. There was another time that I paid one of the neighbors, and I strung hoses together, and I ran them across Goodman Avenue and watered the sunflowers for 4 hours. So they were watered as much as I was going to water them, aside of when God watered them. And that was about all I was going to put into them. The rest was up to God and Mother Nature. So as far as them dying now, that's called the circle of life. That's what flowers do. Fall starts and flowers die. That's what happens. I have worked with Mimi Anderson, and I can't remember the other woman's name. I think she works with the garden behind Goodman School. Someone help me.
Carla?
Carla.
I don't think it's Carla. There's another name.
Is it one of the teachers at the middle school?
There's someone, anyhow, Mimi is working with someone, and I think they're going up today, or they went up today to harvest some of the sunflowers to make sunflower seeds, because that's when they turn ugly and brown and they look like they're dead, that's when you harvest the seeds. That's just part of the cycle. I'm sorry people don't like that. That's the way it is. So I will work with UDF to get the rest of them cleaned up. I don't know if they want to just mow them over, but some of them are still in bloom, so we're not going to mow them over yet. I'm sorry people don't like them. I guess drive a different route for right now. I don't know what to tell you.
That was my question. What was the plan in order to, after they're all deceased, what was the plan to clean them up? But it sounds like you already have one.
There's a minor plan in place, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of ugly things in this city that need to be attended to more than those sunflowers. Not
Although
to
I
mention, I
believe,
mean, people have gone up there 2 or 3 times to pick up the trash that is blown underneath the sunflowers. I mean, to me, that's uglier than flowers dying off.
although you're absolutely correct, but we're talking about the sunflowers. We tried to address the other things several times. Not sure. I just was curious if there was an action plan going forward based off the questions that I've been asked.
If someone would like to join in and help, they are more than invited. Send me their name and number, and I will tell them when we're going to be up there.
All
I would
right.
love the help.
Mr. President,
Bailey.
Ms. Zorb, I will definitely help anytime that you need help, so let me know. And next year, I will let us, the city, use, I have like a micro drip system and a rainwater system. So next year, you guys can use that if you want to help water them during the week.
It has to rain first.
We'll fill it up a couple of times. It's a big one.
Mr. President, I did have one more thing.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if one of the things that Ms. Zorb was referring to was because it's bothersome for me, as I'm sure it is for most other people, the amount of trash and the street sweeping seem to have not, I mean, although it helped, I would like to schedule before it really gets too cold, another cleanup day, because we missed the one in the spring. And then the one, maybe, we usually have one earlier fall, maybe August. But I'm thinking if we can get one started within the next few weeks. Because there's a huge amount of trash everywhere I go. And I mean, I've probably picked up my share. I'm not sure if that's something that we would want to do. I don't have a problem going around picking it up. If someone would like to join with that, even if we don't do a collaboration to get other people involved, that's just an idea. Because we talk about the beautification of the city, it has to start with us as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
I do still feel like the question of special election is out there. As far as the seat being open.
So I can tell you that from my perspective, I read the charter too, and I don't know what Mr. Dieter's perspective is, but when looking at the dates, the timeline, it doesn't look like we can get on this general election this year. I think we're too late. We've already missed the date for that. And I thought I read the charter and I thought it said at the next general election. So I was anticipating the
Next year.
Yes.
So that seat would be vacant for a year.
No, it would be, that's not the way I interpret the charter is someone would fill the seat within, like, what is it? His date was the 19th, right? So Saturday. So 5 days after that, his committee can meet. 45 days after that, they can appoint them. And then that person serves until the next general election. At the next general election, that seat is up for a 2-year term, not a 4-year term. So that seat is still in the same schedule it was before. So it's only up for a 2-year term. That's the way
Ms.
I
Zorb,
understand the charter.
That was my understanding, but Mr. Dieters is on here if he would like to share.
Yeah, when I look at it, it says the replacement's term of office shall extend only to the next general election if the original successful candidate was unable to serve at least 1 full year. So I'm not sure. I mean, general election, I think, is only a November election, but are any of the other elections considered general elections? That would be the question.
So,
No, you have to pay a whole lot more money to get get a name on a special election.
Yeah. So are any of the other elections that are held during the year categorized as general, though? It's the only thing I don't know about.
Not
Or is
according
it-
to the BOE website.
Okay.
They have
So
listings. It's either special or general, which is in November.
Yeah, so then I would agree with you, Ms. Zorb, that I think that you would go ahead and appoint a candidate to fill out to the next general election, because it's too late to get somebody on the November ballot here. You're past the 75-day deadline. So you'd go ahead and appoint somebody for a year, and then at the next general election next November, that person's term would be up and they'd serve for 2 years.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move on to the city administrator's report, Mr. Mosby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mayor, President, and members of council. Tonight's report may seem a bit longer than usual because of some events that have occurred between the last meeting of council and tonight. But number one, the budget for 2021 was presented to the Finance Committee, as Ms. Bailey said earlier, at their last meeting. While the budget presented was a balanced budget, it did have to take into account the scheduled 4% pay increase in both the police and fire departments. Consequently, the budget also reflects proposed reductions in spending in both departments. Since the police department is the largest department in our city and consumes a proportionately greater amount of the general fund, the impact is greater on the police department. My objective is to have a budget finalized before the end of the year. However, if by the first regularly scheduled council meeting in November, it appears unlikely that we will have agreement on a complete budget for the year 2021, I will perhaps have prepared a temporary budget that will allow us to operate at least through the first 3 months of 2021. Today, we were presented with an opportunity to purchase a backhoe that will cost approximately $75,000, including the trade-in of our current backhoe. This purchase price is in accordance with the state contract, and the price is valid until September the 30th. The price is expected to increase by approximately 5% on October 1st. I bring this up because Section 6.05 of the city charter reads as follows: the city administrator shall execute and deliver all contracts for the city, except contracts for an annual audit, which shall be executed by the mayor. Purchases may be made simultaneously with purchases by other governmental bodies and in cooperation with their officers. No purchase or contract in an amount more than authorized by state law shall be made, except after advertisement and the receipt of bids in writing, except in the following cases: 1, emergency; 2, use of the state bidding process; or 3, better value or performance. And in such case, the city administrator shall report the facts to the mayor and to council at its next meeting. City councils have the right by ordinance or resolution to further restrict or increase the amount of purchases or contracts that may be authorized without bidding, but no increased limit shall exceed $75,000. Since the amount of the new backhoe, including the government discount and the trade-in of our current backhoe, does not exceed $75,000, excuse me, we are within the limits of the charter. And Mr. President, I believe we would need only a motion by council to proceed with the purchase. The purchase, to be exact, is $73,336.04.
Mr. President, Mr. Dieters, Mr. Mosby, a couple of things I disagree with you on what you said. One is you use state bidding process, so there's not a number limit on it. Then that 75,000 would only be for items that council has limited. So if you're using, so I know you're at 73 and it doesn't matter, but I don't think that would apply here. And then the other thing is, I don't really think council needs to do anything if it's in your budget, because this it says you will deliver and execute the contract.
Correct.
So if you have it in your budget, you just have to report to council what you're doing. They don't need to, there's no motion for them to pass or not pass.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm communicating it tonight. So I do appreciate that. Let's see, Halloween is coming up next month, and a longstanding, of course, tradition in our city, state, and country. Today, under the Responsible Restart Ohio initiative by Governor DeWine, we received guidance and recommendations, and this is what I gave to Ms. DeWald on how to conduct Halloween festivities. So very quickly, I wanted to take a moment to review those for your information. Basically, what they had were what they considered to be recommended best practices. They said that they were recommending that hay rides and haunted houses be canceled or avoided, that Ohioans exercise caution when deciding to participate in trick-or-treating and events that put them in close contact with people outside of their households. So they, of course, are recommending social distancing to celebrate in various ways, such as holding a drive-through or drive-in trick-or-treat event, holding a drive-by costume or car decorating contest, leaving treats for friends and neighbors, decorating your home and hide treats as an alternative to trick-or-treating, holding costume parties or pumpkin carving contests online. They were recommending not to hold large Halloween parties, always wearing a face covering, staying 6 feet away from people, carrying hand sanitizer, selecting events that are held outdoors and allow attendees to stay in their cars, and then consider the people in your household that may be a greater risk of complications. They also had guidelines for parents. If taking your children trick-or-treating, limit the number of houses you visit. Ask your children to stay as far away from trick-or-treaters or treat givers as possible. Wipe off candy wrappers with sanitizing wipes. Allowing children only to eat factory-wrapped treats. And if your child is a greater risk of complication from COVID-19, contact your doctor before participating in Halloween activities. So those were a few of the recommendations that they had for the citizens and for the residents. So basically what they were saying was that each community, they were saying obviously to go ahead and continue to have whatever festivities, they were recommending that we be careful basically in terms of how many people are attending, obviously maintaining the social distancing, wearing the mask, and obviously being careful with the transmission of candies and treats and things like that. After the previous council meeting in which we discussed traffic calming issues, I reached out to an engineering firm that is very experienced in the area of traffic analysis. I'm working with them to conduct an analysis of Galbraith Road in which they can make recommendations for solutions to the traffic calming issues. I anticipate that we can have a report submitted to us by the end of the first quarter of 2021. We have not finalized basically the contract yet, but we are in the process of working on that now. Also, we are replacing our telephone system to make it more efficient. The conversion is underway, and we should have the new phone system installed and operating by October the 1st. None of the telephone numbers will change. However, it will be easier to reach a department or an employee. This will also save us money on administrative expenses since we won't need as many phones as we currently have. And we will be getting the new phones at reduced rates. And in certain cases, the phones will come to us at no charge. Our new phone system will be a cloud-based system, making our current telephones obsolete. But once again, individuals should have greater success at contacting a person or a department. And Mr. President, that is all I have right now.
Thank you. Any questions for the city administrator?
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
Mr. Mosby, is there any way that you can send us the Halloween recommendations in writing?
Yes, Ms. Underwood. As I mentioned, those are the state guidelines. I had already forwarded it to the mayor, and so I was actually going to yield to the mayor to determine what kind of local guidelines she wanted to implement. And so when that is complete, I can certainly do that. But yes, I can also forward to council the current state guidelines from Responsible Restart Ohio.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Ms. Orb?
So two things. So will Halloween be observed on the 31st?
Well, right now, yes. Unless something more drastic happens, we would, yes, observe it on the 31st of October.
Okay, and then just a side note, the greatest success at contacting a person or department would be that they would return your phone call when you left a message for them, which seems to not happen.
That, and then also in some cases, people have said that through the phone system, they weren't able to actually get something or, a ring to contact anyone. And I do know that that has been a problem as well because of the current system that we are working with. So. Ms. DeWald, I believe, Mr. President.
Oh, Ms. DeWald?
She's on, you're on mute, Ms. DeWald.
Unmute your phone, please. You're still muted. Shall I proceed? We can come back to you if you get that figured out. Okay.
He said, don't worry about it.
Yep, we're going to move on. All right, is that all you had, Mr. Mosby?
Yes, unless there are any other questions, that's all I have right now.
All right, next item on the agenda is Law Director. Mr. Dieters, do you have a report?
Mr. Graver, I don't really have a report, just to remind everybody that we are going to begin collective bargaining negotiations with the part-time firefighters. So I know that's on some of your radar, but other than that, I don't have anything else, Mr. Graver.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Dieters? All right, and then I saw Ms. Hall on here earlier, but she is not on here now, so I will assume we do not have a report from the Finance Director. With that, we'll go to call of members. Ms. Bailey.
I don't have anything. I just want to say again, thank you for planting the sunflowers. I think they looked awesome. And the cycle of life is the cycle of life. My neighbor up the street here, though, has offered up barberry bushes that are red that are really pretty, as well as weeping willow tree cuts. If we would like to have them to plant in the city, he is gladly going to give them to us. Other than that, everybody just stay safe and be kind.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Next, Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Zorb?
I don't think I have anything either.
All right.
I thought I did, but now it's gone. So sorry.
Timing is everything.
It is.
All right, thank you. And finally, last but not least, Ms. Hartman.
Have anything at this time? I don't have anything at this time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr.
I
Miller.
just wanted to check in. I received communication from Ms. Hall. You're right, she was not able to. She's using the public link. However, she did say that she did not have a report at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That'll move us into legislation. You get your audio, Ms. Dewald? You want to try your computer?
Mr. Graver, are you able to unmute
I
the,
cannot unmute her. All I can do is ask for her to unmute.
Okay.
I don't know why. Sometimes it allows me the ability and sometimes it does not.
Ms. Dewald, up in the top left of your phone, it should have a green button that's highlighting the time on your phone. Please click that. Did that take, show me, hold your phone up to the screen. Hold it up a little higher. I can direct you from here. Just hold it up a little bit higher. Okay, top, yeah, the top left there. Okay, what happens when you click on that? Okay, nope, hold it up a little higher for me. A little, up. Keep going up. Is there that button right next where it says hide, right next to the hang up button? What does that button say? Click the button that says hide on your phone. Hold on, can't see it, over a little bit. Okay, yep. Speaker, where the mute button, press the mute button. Okay. She's right. She was doing it right the first time.
All right. I'm prepared to read this on her behalf if I can do that. Thank you. All right, legislation. We have first reading resolution 15-2020, a resolution appointing members to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council and the Tax Incentive Review Council. All right, we have first reading. Ordinance.
Mr. President,
Ms. Orb,
can we have some discussion on resolution 15? I see
you may.
blanks on there. Are we supposed to put
Oh.
names in that?
Mr. President,
Bailey.
Ms. Zorb, I was going to ask in new business if anybody was interested. We have to appoint 2 members from council for each one by a majority vote of council. And so the last time that we appointed people, it was Mrs. Dewald and Miss Ornita Brown. And so we need to fill out any information. Well, not fill out any information, I'm sorry. Put the fillers out there to see if anybody is interested on serving on either of those. To my knowledge, they have not met at all. We just have to have the names of 2 council members that would serve on that if they were to ever meet.
And I apologize for interrupting, but Miss Dewald's mute symbol just disappeared. She should be able to talk now.
Good. Excellent.
Talk into your phone.
Still don't hear her. All right, Mary. Personally, I think I'm doing a great job of reading these for you. So, all right. Did you have any other questions there, Ms.
Did you get her
Zorba?
pay for tonight then too?
I don't want her pay. The 3 cents an hour she makes is not worth it. Did that answer your questions, Ms. Zorb? All right, we'll move on. Yeah. All right, we have first reading for ordinance 10-2020, an ordinance to levy a permissive vehicle license tax pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 4504.173.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
did we, excuse me, I'm sorry. Did we receive a copy of this ordinance by email or
Oh, yes.
was, okay,
The email from September 17th.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Second reading, ordinance 09-2020, an ordinance to create a municipal tree advisory board. Okay, we have a third reading. This is resolution 13-2020, a resolution declaring the official intent and reasonable expectation of the city of North College Hill on behalf of the state of Ohio, the borrower, to reimburse its street levy fund for the Sundale Avenue reconstruction CB05X with the proceeds of tax exempt debt of the state of Ohio.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 13-2020.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a motion on the floor to adopt resolution 13-2020. The second from Ms. Underwood. Discussion? All right, I will call the roll on behalf of Ms. Dewald. Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
And Ms. Hartman?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 to adopt resolution 13-2020. All right, next we have third reading, resolution 14-2020, a resolution declaring the official intent and reasonable expectation of the city of North College Hill on behalf of the state of Ohio, the borrower, to reimburse its street levy fund for the Galbraith and Goodman improvements CB23X with the proceeds of tax exempt debt of the state of Ohio.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I have a question. Is now the time for me to ask questions?
I guess.
So are we still talking about putting speed bumps on Galbraith Road? And if so, is this the resolution that causes that to happen?
Mr. President,
Mr. Mosby.
this resolution is actually a resolution that basically declares that the city will basically use the funds that will be forwarded to us only for the purpose of reimbursing our own street fund for the expenses, which, long story short, just simply means we'll use the funds to improve the street. This doesn't have anything to do with the speed bumps. However, I had spoken to JMA and asked them to go ahead and remove that particular requirement from and if you remember, that was actually basically an addendum or an added part to the original request for a proposal. So that was removed. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm in the process of getting negotiating with a company for a traffic analysis for Galbraith Road. That will then include recommendations for street calming measures.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I'd like to make a motion we adopt resolution 14-2020.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Zorb. Motion from Ms. Bailey with a second from Ms. Zorb to adopt resolution 14-2020. Any other discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Bailey.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. All right, that is all legislation. This would bring us to remarks from the audience, of which there are no to remark. So we'll go to old business. We do have the opinion letter from Mr. Dieters as a line item on old business. Did everyone receive the opinion letter?
Are you saying that you received it?
Well, I thought it went to everyone. Mr. Dieters, did that not go to everyone?
I am not sure who Barb might have sent that to. I think she may have sent it to you with the expectation that you were going to send it to everybody. So
Well,
maybe not everyone's received it.
I guess I got confused because she sent it to me separately after she had inadvertently sent it to my incorrect email address. You are correct. She did not send that to everyone. I'm sending it right now, but it doesn't really help at this point. Would you like to just give a brief summary, Mr. Dieters, if you wouldn't mind? I have forwarded that now. It should be popping up in your email.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. So I've reviewed the charter on this, and the charter is sort of silent on this issue as to whether or not, if the emergency clause is included in there, that you would definitely need the supermajority, or if you didn't get the supermajority, would the legislation proceed without it? I quite frankly think an argument can be made very strongly on either side of those two positions. I probably lean a little bit more to the side that I think just because the emergency clause is included, it's not really the content of the legislation, and that 4 votes would probably work. But that's not what my advice to council is on this. Given the current situation that we have, a mask order from the state, and given the fact that there seems to be some debate over whether this passed or not, my suggestion was that if the mayor and Mr. Mosby still wanted to proceed with the legislation, because if you recall, this all started prior to any kind of state mandate, that they would proceed with bringing it back to council without the emergency clause embedded inside. And they could always ask to waive the 3 readings and get first. And if they didn't get it, then just pass it and allow it to go for 3 readings. So, but this is our charter doesn't really speak to the issue. I believe it's unclear. I think like I said, I think a colorable argument can be made on either side. So my advice, given the situation, is more of a practical advice. Just sort of punt on the legal issue practically. There's no reason to create controversy over it if we already have a state mask rule. So the suggestion was, like I said, bring it back without the emergency clause embedded and try to run it to try to get it passed again.
Mr.
I'll be happy to
President,
answer any questions.
Ms. Underwood.
Mr. Dieters, I have a question. Is there a specific section of the charter that discusses this issue?
Yeah, Ms. Underwood, you caught me a little off guard because I don't have the letter in front of me, but I addressed it in the letter. I can pull up the charter here real quick because I have a link to it on my computer and look at it. But it's the section on legislation. I forget what article it is.
That's 9.08.
Yep. There you go. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Welcome.
So, Mr. Dieters, is it your advice that we amend the charter to make that more clear?
I think if when we do a charter amendment, the next time we do it, we should probably identify that. I wouldn't necessarily think that it's something that's so pressing because I don't know if it happens all that often. But at some point when we do amend the charter, I think it should be on our list. Ms. Underwood, is something that we look at from a committee to make a recommendation to council. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Graver, maybe I just also too, because there's people that haven't heard this from me before, but when I give you guys advice as a governmental body, governmental entity, I kind of think that there's 4 components. I call it the 4-legged chair that I have to deal with. One, I always try to determine whether we're right or wrong legally, like what's the legal answer. Number 2, I always try to look at what the cost of being right or wrong is, right? Sometimes we might be right, but if we want to get involved in litigation, the cost may be not worth the being right or proving we're right. The last 2 are something that, and I think those first 2, anytime an attorney's given a client advice, he or she has to think about those 2 components. But when you give advice to a public entity, a governmental entity, I think these other two things are very important, and that is, what are the practical aspects of the advice? Because I think practicality is a big deal of it. And then also, what are the community relations, public relations, political consequences of that? I think anytime you're making a decision that involves legal issues and legal interpretations, if I was on council, I'd want to kind of have all 4 of those things available to me to look at. And this is just one where I think, because of the practical aspect of the fact that the state order is out there, there's really no reason to cause a debate amongst anyone on what side of the legal issue you are on that, because at the end of the day, it sort of would be just an academic exercise anyway. So just a little more clarity as to why I maybe gave the advice I gave.
Mr. President,
Madam Mayor.
if I may, initially, I just wanted to state that that piece of legislation was written or put out there before the governor came back and made his mandates. And he came out the day after that we initially started to talk about it. And it was already in motion, so we followed through with it. And I put it out to council. I remember Mr. O'Shea stated, I put it out to council because I wanted the residents to say that council supported it as well, but apparently council did not support the mask mandate. And I could have done it the same way that I did the state of emergency, but I chose not to. So with that being said, the mandate is already in place. So as you stated, Mr. Dieters, it really, at this particular point, it really doesn't matter whether we put it out there again or not.
Yeah, Mr. President, and I think, Madam Mayor, I think also part of the reason we were looking at it initially too is we were trying to support the business owners, to give them a little support to cover them if they wanted people to wear masks. And again, the state mandate came through for us, and we don't. That's not as imperative as it was before.
Exactly.
All right, thank you. Is there any other old business? All right, hearing none, we will move on to new business. We do have a couple of line items here. The first one is to appoint a Rita delegate and alternate, replacing Jim O'Shea and Christian Hedger respectively, who resigned at our last meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
if nobody else wants to or has interest of, I can be the delegate or the alternate until we have a full council back for people to choose.
Miss Bailey, I'd be okay with that. I'll be your alternate.
Cool.
Unless Miss Underwood or Miss Hartman would like to jump in.
I would not. Thank you.
We appreciate your honesty.
So, Mr. President, I'll make a motion to appoint Miss Bailey as the delegate and Ms. Zorb as the alternate delegate for Rita.
Mr. President, I will second that.
All right. Sorry, I had a spelling issue there as I was writing. All right, so motion from Ms. Zorb, second from Ms. Bailey to appoint Ms. Bailey as the delegate to Rita and Ms. Zorb as the alternate delegate to Rita. I'll call the roll. Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for volunteering. All right, second line item on new business is to appoint a liaison for the Chamber of Commerce, which was previously Mr. O'Shea, who resigned at our last meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey?
if no one else is interested, I'll go on this one until we have a full council.
Miss Bailey, I certainly do not want to take anything from you, but I am already on the Chamber of Commerce for
Mr. President,
Serve NCH.
I would like
me
to
do it.
I would like to make a motion that Miss Mary Jo Zorb is the Chamber of Commerce liaison.
I mean, I'm already
Mr.
going.
President, I will second that motion.
Slow down.
You didn't even let her finish.
That
Wow.
happened really fast.
Good talk.
All right. Now that I'm caught up, the motion was made by Ms. Bailey, second by Ms. Underwood to appoint Ms. Zorb as the Chamber of Commerce liaison. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Mr. President.
I have Ms. Underwood first.
we have two committees that need chairs, so I think that we need to address that.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I agree wholeheartedly. With that being said, can I knock out an easy one real quick as far as chairs go?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion that Mary Jo Zorb is the Vice Chair of Finance. She expressed interest, kind of.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
All right. Can you repeat your motion for me, Ms. Bailey?
That Miss Mary Jo Zorb, if she's still interested, is the Vice Chair of the Finance Committee. Yeah, okay.
All right. So you're making a motion to appoint Mary Jo Zorb as vice chair
Yes, sir.
of finance. That's replacing Mr. Hedger, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Ms. Underwood, you made the second.
Yes.
All right. Motion for Ms. Bailey to appoint Mary Jo Zorb as the vice chair of the finance committee with a second by Ms. Underwood.
And also, Tim, do you mind if he comes?
Discussion. I'll call the roll. Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
and Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Congratulations, Ms. Zorb.
I thought she was getting ready to throw me under the bus there. I was got nervous.
No, that was the easy one. Mr. President, so as far as committees go, on public safety,
Yes, ma'am.
now it's Miss Underwood. Who else is on? Do those committees have enough people on them, just in general?
I'd have to go look, but you had Ms. Underwood, Mr. Miller.
We need to get
Mr.
you all to
President.
our race board.
Hang on.
I have the list in front of me if you'd like me to read down the list. Which committee are you referring to?
Will any of, I guess I'm just asking if any of them are going to, if any of them need extra members just to get us through now.
Public safety first.
Mr.
Public
President.
safety.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
On the list that I have, public safety has listed, chair is Erica. I'm sorry, I guess that's why you were speaking up. Vice chair is Beth, and then Matt Miller Novak, myself, and Mr. O'Shea. So that would be just down one.
Okay.
So there's still 4 members there.
City, community development, and recreation.
I have Mr. Hedger as chair, so that would need to be a replacement. Then Miss Bailey is the vice chair, Matt Miller Novak, myself, and Erica Underwood.
Matt Miller Novak is not on that committee. He only does the public safety and rules and public policy.
Okay.
We have enough there. We don't have a chair. Correct?
Correct.
Oh.
Is anybody interested in being the chair of that committee?
Wouldn't
I was the
Mr.
chair.
President, wouldn't the vice chair just move up to the chair? That's why we appoint a vice chair.
Okay.
Sounds
So,
good to me.
Mr. President, I will be the chair of that committee. And then is anybody interested in being the vice chair of City and Community Development and Recreation?
Mr. President,
Ms.
would it be acceptable to just have an interim, have Miss Bailey be the interim chair until we get the other 2 positions filled? Because maybe they would like to do that. Miss Bailey, would you be okay with that?
I would be cool with that.
And
Yeah.
then just stay in your vice chair slot and just be the interim chair?
I would be
I don't know.
more than cool with that.
Okay.
Ms. Hartman, were you trying to say something?
No.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess just a recap is I will just serve as the interim chair of City and Community Development until we are back to a full house, and then we will go from there and get a new chair for that if somebody is willing and interested.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Rules and public policy.
Might I suggest we do the same thing there?
So that would be Mr. Miller Novak. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we have enough people on that committee with the exit of Mr. O'Shea? Ms. Dewald is a nodding in affirmative.
There are still 4 names on the list.
Okay. All right.
I have Matt Miller Novak, Erica Underwood, myself, and Miss Hartman.
Okay.
If I'm speaking out of turn for someone, please speak up.
So then we have enough people on all of them. We have the vice chairs will act as chairman for now for those committees. So that should all be good, correct?
How many do we, I think Budget and Finance only has 3 on it now.
Does it?
Yes,
Are they?
budget. Yes, that would be me, Miss Mary Jo Zorb, and Miss Underwood. So we do need another committee member for Budget and Finance. Miss Hartman, if you don't mind, it looks like you're our interim committee member on Budget and Finance.
Okay, while I can.
We need to make a motion for adding her to that. I can't remember. Yes.
Yes.
So Ms. Bailey, are you making a motion?
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion that Miss Hartman is added to Budget and Finance.
I'll second.
Motion from Ms. Bailey, second from Ms. Zorb to appoint Ms. Hartman to the Budget and Finance Committee. Discussion. I will call the roll. Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. So that shores up all the committees, correct?
Yes, sir. I think except for, was Mr. O'Shea part of the fire task force as well?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, I think there's only 3 on city and community development now. Because I thought Matt Miller Novak was on it and Miss Bailey said,
Correct. So he's not on that. So,
so maybe we put him on it.
Bailey, Zorb, Underwood.
I mean, if
yes.
Beth has to,
Me right now.
if Beth has to be on finance, then Miller Novak can be on the other one.
I'll make a motion that Mr. Miller Novak is appointed to City and Community Development and Recreation.
I'll second.
All right, so Bailey, Ms. Bailey made the motion to appoint Mr. Miller Novak to the City and Community Development and Recreation Committee. The second by Ms. Zorb. Discussion. I'll call the roll. Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. All right, now we have it all.
Yes. Except, well, for regular committees.
What is the time frame on replacing someone to another?
God bless you.
Thanks.
Mr. President, I didn't hear you. What was your question?
What's the reasonable time frame for replacing somebody to one of our ad hoc committees?
I think all of our ad hocs are taken care of. The one that I guess it's part of new business.
Oh,
Yeah.
we can go to that next because we're done with what's on the agenda there. So new business.
Cool. So we need 2 people to be part of the Reinvestment Area Housing Council and 2 people to be part of the Tax Incentive Review Council. Now, we have to have these on the books for a state mandate. This is my second year bringing this back out, and I don't think that they have ever met, either committee or council. As basically the whole city of North College Hill is a community reinvestment area. And in order to maintain that status from our comprehension plan via 1980 something, we have to have people say that they will do one of these or both.
All right, who wants to volunteer for the Reinvestment Area Housing Council?
Mr. President, if there are no takers.
Council that never meets, I'm on.
Me too. Mr. President, I'll make a motion that those 2 members are Amber Bailey and Mary Jo Zorb.
Mr. President, I would like to make a side note to the mayor. There is a line for the mayor to appoint 2 people also. Are those 2 people still? If this was done before, are those 2 people still on it? Do we know those names?
I know one of them is Pam Trout, and I can find the other one. I forget who they are, but I know Pam Trout serves as one of them.
Well,
All right.
since it's a committee, we're gonna start meeting, so you ladies who just volunteered for something that doesn't meet, you're gonna have to meet now.
I'm cool with that as long as it's the second Tuesday of every week.
Of every week? No, second
second.
Tuesday, no, how about the second Wednesday of every month?
I like, there's more than one Wednesday in a month.
The second Wednesday.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor here to appoint Ms. Bailey and Ms. Zorb to the Reinvest Area Housing Council. Motion, but was by Ms. Bailey, the second by Ms. Zorb. I will call the roll. Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey,
under the Tax Incentive Review Council, I would like to make a motion that one of those people is Matt Miller Novak. I don't know if anybody else is interested in being the second appointee, but I feel like Matt's not here, so he should be one of them.
so if I'm reading that, it's the mayor with the North College Hill City Council concurrence. Madam Mayor, do you agree with that name?
Well, I would prefer that he would agree to it, but everything is pretty slim pickings at this particular point. Not sure if Ms. Hartman is here, if she would like to do it. Is there any way we can wait to ask him if it's something that he would like to do?
Mr. President,
This was only the first reading.
I agree with that. Can we just wait before we appoint anyone to that one?
Yeah, we can. It is only the first reading. Thank you for the reminder, Ms. Zorb.
Whereas it's only the first reading of this, guys, I just want to make sure that we have our P's and Q's covered for the state, because again, this isn't, it's a state mandated thing that these have to be filled, and they haven't been filled for quite some time. So as long as we can keep not doing it, I guess it's okay. I don't know.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
just to respond to Ms. Bailey, I'm fine. I think we can fill it at the next meeting. I just would, before, Mr. Miller Novak just switched law firms, and, I know he has a lot going on. So I want to just check with him to make sure that it's something that he has the time to do and the ability to do effectively before we just kind of volunteer him to do that.
And that's what we'll do. So we'll make sure that it's on the old business. Ms. Dewall, make sure that's on old business. The next meeting. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I do have an additional question. Is there a length of term for this appointment? Because I do not see one.
I don't see anything in there that says that either.
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
to my understanding, no, there is not a length of term. As long as you are on council, you are good until you're done. When you are off of council, then you're not good.
So who is keeping track of that? Because you mentioned a name in that spot from before that is not familiar to me.
I mentioned Ornita Brown and Miss Mary Dewald. I think that
Thought that was on the first one, not the second one.
Pam Trout is on the second one. And to be honest, I don't know who's supposed to keep track of it. I just know that I went through some of my old paperwork and I found it, and I was like, we need to get this back together real quick.
Okay.
Again, nobody ever applies for these at all. So basically, long story short, if you do X amount of money to your home and renovations and boost the value, the Community Tax Reinvestment Council Committee, whatever it is, would be the one to say, yes, you can get an abatement on the percentage of increase on your home value, or no, you can't. no one ever applies for it. So
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
is there a description of these committees, either in the council rules or in the charter for North College Hill?
no, ma'am, there are not. These are state, basically, the state hands them out. I can get you the state descriptions of these, if that'll help. They are kind of lengthy, but in order to have this determination for the city of North College Hill, we have to do it, but I can get those to you.
Thank you.
See, Mr. President,
Mr. Mosby.
I'll have to pull it up, but I do believe that in the tax ordinance, Ms. Underwood, that there is a description of the tax incentive review council there. But I can pull it up and find it, and then I can get it sent to the members of council.
Thank you, Mr. Mosby. All right, any other new business?
Mr. President,
Ms. Bailey.
I would like to have a finance work session of the budget soon, but considering that we are down to only 4 people, I'm not sure if we have an idea of when we will be back to a full council. I know it'll take a while because of the 45 days, but I would rather get something going on that rather than sooner than later, so that way we're not stuck at the beginning of the year having special meetings to approve a temporary budget.
Ms. Bailey, is there a date that you're looking at?
I'm free and open to anything, so it's just I can't do the second Wednesday of every month now, thank you, Ms. Nichols, or the third Thursday of every month, as that is the CIC meetings. So other than that, I'm pretty much open anytime.
It doesn't have to be that day. We can discuss another day. Sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am. So would this be a special meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee?
It's technically a committee of the whole
Okay, that's what I was.
that you proceed,
Yes, ma'am.
preside, my bad.
To have a committee of the whole, we have to have all 5 of our current members present, correct?
Absolutely. So I will send out, I guess, an email asking when everybody is free.
Okay.
Since Matt isn't here to try and figure that out. Are there any days, like I know that sometimes you guys have like Wednesdays are a hard no. So are there any days that are absolutely just like hard no's?
I do not.
No, I mean, other than the obvious ones that we all know we already have, I'm pretty open at this point. Wednesdays aren't a hard no anymore.
Cool. And then is anybody opposed at starting at roughly, we'll say 6 o'clock, just because these things take so long?
I would not be opposed to a 6 o'clock start.
Nor would I.
Ms. Underwood? Can you pull a 6 o'clock start?
I am not opposed to a 6 o'clock start.
Ms. Hartman?
I'm fine.
Let's do it that way, Ms. Bailey. If you can throw some dates out into an email, and then I'll bird dog everybody to try and come to a time, and then we'll do all the appropriate notifications.
Bird dog. Sorry, I just had to say it.
Well, it gets a chuckle out of Ms. Zorb, so I had to use it. All right. Any other new business?
Mr. Graver, I'd like to bring up the topic that you and I have discussed about cameras.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Would you like to run with that, or would you like?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I had actually meant to send out an email and I totally forgot. So, after which committee was that? Was the
Finance.
The Budget and Finance Committee meeting the other night, and I went back and was rewatching it because it didn't dawn on me, but I wanted to catch on some things. And as I was rewatching it, Mary Jo Zorb was the only one that had her camera turned on, and therefore it was a giant picture of Mary Jo Zorb, like she was the only person having a meeting all by herself. And so she and I discussed and talked about the importance of us when we can, absolutely making sure that we have our cameras on, have our faces on there. It didn't look right when she was the only one on there. And I can tell you, if I had gone back and watched the meeting and found out I was the only big head on there, I don't think I would have appreciated it. So I had, again, meant to send an email just to give everyone a heads up, but I would ask that when we can, I know if you're calling in from your phone, you can't, but we should absolutely have our cameras turned on when we are an active participant in a meeting. Please, whether that's a committee meeting or obviously our council meetings. So
I will start using my camera more, and I'm sorry that it was the United States of Mary Jo up there by herself.
well, that's one.
The irony is there were probably 10 to 12 people on that one, and yet it was my face.
So
it just looked like I was talking to myself, and I'm Sybil. I have 10 voices coming out of my head.
Yeah, the United States of Mary Jo. Yeah, a bunch of them. So just for education purposes. So right now, like I see, Miss Hartman, my name, you, of course. So when it's on like that to everyone else, it's literally, all they can see right now is Mary Jo, Mr. Graver, and Miss Dewald.
Correct.
That is correct.
That is going to show on the replay. I do believe it is set up so that when someone is speaking, they become the focus of the whole thing. But so under normal circumstances, the only people that are showing in the meeting or on the replay is the ones with the cameras on. So if we all turned our cameras off, nobody would show.
Okay.
So just as a point of order is not the right thing to say, is it? I don't know that there's a point of order on this, but as a point of
privilege.
I don't know if it's privilege either, but you're heading the right direction there. I do believe it's important that when we are active participants that we do make ourselves available to be seen as well, so that any community members that are watching it can see who their elected officials are.
Awesome.
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Ms. Underwood.
I'm going to point out that I understand what everybody is saying, and I agree with that. It's just that I guess when the governor gave us permission to meet by Zoom or by phone conference, you're allowed to meet without your camera being active. But I do understand that request that we have our cameras active, and I will make every effort to make that happen.
And that is why I determined that point of order was not the right term there, because you are correct. It can only be, the only requirement is voice with video, with teleconferencing.
So with that being said, though, I know that we touched on it in our last finance meeting. Are we going to be outfitted in order to meet back in council chambers? Because I have no problems with being on camera at all in our council chambers, because of course it's quieter there and you won't see my 5-year-old just walk across the screen or the new puppy. So can we go back to council chambers?
Who's got that in committee right now?
It's in we discussed it in finance, but we didn't really make any strong movement one way or the other, because I think that at that point it was just you and myself that it had expressed interest on going back to council chambers.
We've also discussed it in public safety. Sorry, Mr. President.
So we do have the hybrid option, which we had discussed, but the hybrid option is going to come at a cost of purchasing a new TV, running cable to a new large monitor, and then we would be able to have people both there and and ones that still feel the need to remain stay at home. So I mean, that is an option still, Ms. Bailey.
Well, Mr. President, right now, I don't know if you guys have ventured out, but right now, like large TVs are the cheapest that I've ever seen them. They are ridiculously inexpensive. And I think that it is something that we should definitely do. If I I'm not sure if I can make the motion to go ahead and purchase the TV and the equipment to start hosting hybrid meetings right now, but I would like to make that motion.
Ms. Zorb, did you have all of the stuff? You had all the information we needed from ICRC, correct?
Yeah, it is my understanding that all we need is the television, probably a mount to put it on the wall.
Mr. President.
And I think that's about it.
Okay, so Ms. Bailey, you want to make a motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I will make a motion that we purchase a TV mount and the necessary technology cables, whatever, to get us up and running for meetings back in our council chambers.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
may I ask that she makes that a little more precise to say the size of the TV that she was?
Yeah, I was gonna head that way.
Sorry, I didn't mean to overstep.
So we talked, and just refresh my memory, we talked about 60 or 70 inch, correct, Ms. Zorb, when we met with ICRC?
Mr.
Sure.
President,
I don't recall.
Mr. President, Ms. Zorb, would it be appropriate to say not smaller than a 60-inch TV and no larger than a 70-inch TV?
Sure.
Shh, Kobe, go. Sorry, I have a puppy now. So I will make a motion that we purchase a TV not smaller than 60 inches and no larger than 70 inches in the appropriate pieces of equipment that we need to start hosting hybrid meetings back at the council chambers.
I will second that motion.
All right, so I believe the motion should actually state to direct Mr. Mosby to make this purchase, correct? Or the city administrator?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I will redo my motion again. I would like to make a motion to direct the city administrator to purchase a TV not smaller than 60 inches, not larger than 70 inches, in the appropriate equipment to start hosting hybrid meetings back in our council chambers.
All right, that sounds good to me. So the motion is by Ms. Bailey, the second is by Ms. Zorb. Any other discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Hartman? Ms. Hartman?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Motion passes 4-0. Mr. Mosby, did you get all that?
Yes, but I will also confirm it with the clerk of council before I execute any purchase.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other new business? All right, I hear none.
Mr. President, I will take that silence and make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Mr. President,
Bailey.
I will second that.
All right, motion for Ms. Zorb to adjourn the meeting, second by Ms. Bailey. I will call the roll. Ms. Bailey.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Hartman.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Keith.
Good night.